something is off. I've been trying to figure out why the AI revolution feels so weird, and I think I finally cracked it. Everyone's talking about AI like it's already here, like we've crossed some threshold into the future. But when you actually look at what's happening, I mean, really look, you realize we're not in the future. We are, in my opinion, stuck in the in-between. And that in-between, it has a name. Okay, so let me show you something. These are the numbers that everyone is celebrating. 88% of companies are using AI. That's almost everyone. 1.2 billion people, that's a quarter of humanity, have tried AI tools. 72% of workers use it regularly. Sounds like AI has won, right? Mission accomplished. Yay, we're living in the future. Except, here's what they're not telling us. Only 33% of those companies have actually scaled AI beyond experiments. 95% of AI projects fail. And for most companies, AI contributes less than 5% to their bottom line. So basically, AI is everywhere and nowhere. It's the fastest adopted technology in history that almost nobody can actually make work. It's revolutionary and also completely incremental. That's not contradiction, though. This is a pattern, and it was predicted 34 years ago by a guy that you've probably never heard of. In 1991, Jeffrey Moore wrote a book that became the Bible for Silicon Valley. It explained why most technologies fail right when they seem to be succeeding. This is basically mandatory curriculum for business schools. And here's how it works. When a new technology comes out, it does not get adopted all at once. People fall into 5 groups. First, you have the innovators, the 2.5% of the market. These are the hackers, the tinkerers, the people who install beta software just for fun. They don't care if it works, they just want to be first. Then come the early adopters, the 13.5% of the market. These are the visionaries. These people are the ones who see the future before it arrives. They're willing to deal with the bugs and incomplete features and terrible interfaces many times because they want the competitive advantage of being early. And together, these two groups make up about 16% of the market. And here's why this is important. They're not like the rest of us. Early adopters want complexity. They enjoy figuring things out. They will spend hours learning a system because mastering it gives them status. They're optimizing for being first and not for being easy. But then you hit the next group, the early majority, the 34% of the market. And this is where everything changes because the early majority, they don't want to be first. They want it to work. They don't want a science experiment. They want a tool. They're not visionaries, they're pragmatists. And between these two groups, between the 16% who love new tech and the 34% who just need it to work, there is a gap. And Moore called it the chasm. And here's the thing. Most technologies die in this gap. They win over the early adopters, they get all the hype, they raise all the money, and then they just stall. Because what early adopters want and what the mainstream needs are two completely different things. Early adopters are going to piece together 5 different tools to make something work. The mainstream wants one tool that does everything. Early adopters tolerate bugs. The mainstream doesn't. They demand reliability. Early adopters want features. The mainstream just wants simplicity. And to cross the chasm, you cannot just make your product better. You have to make it different. You have to stop optimizing for the people who love you and start solving problems for the people who need you. And that is exactly where we are in the AI era right now. We are in the chasm, in my opinion, and that is why everything feels so weird. So let me paint you a picture of what the chasm actually looks like in real life. So it's 2025, you're at work, you've been using ChatGPT for months to write emails and summarize documents and brainstorm ideas. It's made you 30% more productive, but you haven't told anyone because you're not sure if it's allowed. You're not sure if it counts as cheating. You're not sure if admitting that you use AI makes you look more capable or less capable. This is actually called shadow AI, and over 50% of employees are doing it. They're personally crossing the chasm while their companies stand frozen on the edge. Meanwhile, your company has launched its 5th AI pilot program, and there is this whole task force, and there are consultants, and there is a roadmap, but nothing's actually changing. You are still doing your job the same way that you did it 2 years ago, except now there is an entire AI strategy deck in your shared drive that nobody reads. This is the chasm: individual success and organizational paralysis, massive investment and minimal transformation. Everyone's experimenting, but nobody's scaling. And here is what makes the AI chasm different from every other technology chasm in history. It is moving fast. The PC took 15 years to cross the chasm. The internet took 10. The smartphone took 5, probably less. AI, well, we're trying to do it in less than 2 years. But here's the problem: the technology keeps evolving faster than we can implement it. By the time you finish your pilot program, there is a whole new model that makes your approach obsolete. And you're trying to cross a bridge that's being rebuilt while we're walking on it. And traditional change management says define point A, define point B, and create a plan to get from A to B. But with AI, point B keeps moving. It's a moving target. There is no fixed destination. So you get change fatigue. You're constantly changing but never arriving. You're running, but the finish line keeps getting further and further away. That is why it feels weird, because it is weird. Because we're trying to adopt a technology that won't stop evolving long enough for us to adopt. I think there is something else that is just, if not more, interesting. The chasm isn't affecting everyone equally. I've gone through research and I found that China, 81% of people are using AI and 83% are optimistic about it. I think they've crossed the chasm. And in India, 92% of professionals are using it. Clearly they've crossed. In the US, 61% usage, but only 42% are optimistic. I mean, clearly the US is in the chasm. We're using it, but we don't trust it yet. And if we look at Europe or Japan, I mean, in Europe, some countries are at 5% adoption, and other countries are further ahead than the US. Clearly, they're not at the same place, but they're still watching from the starting line in many cases. Now, if we look at companies, large companies are twice as likely to scale AI as small companies. Tech and finance are racing ahead. Healthcare and education are kind of stuck in neutral. And this creates a compounding effect. The people and the companies who cross the chasm early get the benefits, the productivity, the competitive advantage, the learning. And the ones who wait, well, they fall further behind because the gap gets wider since the destination keeps moving. This is how you get a two-tier economy, a two-tier workforce, and a two-tier world. So the question isn't just will AI transform everything? The question is, will it transform you, or will you be the one on the wrong side of the chasm when it closes? Okay, so if we're in the chasm, how do we get out? Because some people are making this work, clearly. BMW didn't try to AIify their entire factory. They picked one problem, quality control of the assembly line, and they used AI-powered computer vision to inspect parts in real time. And I think we read somewhere that the result was 60% reduction in defects. One problem, one solution, massive impact. I think it's pretty clear. I think Shell focused on predictive maintenance. Again, one problem, now they can monitor thousands of pieces of equipment and process billion sensor readings in a week and prevent failures before they happen. But hopefully you can see the pattern. They didn't try to boil the ocean. They didn't launch 50 AI pilots across every department, or maybe they did, but this one was a more focused one. They picked where to put their focus. They picked one high-pain problem, they solved it completely, and then used that success as an amplifier, as a foundation. Moore called this the beachhead strategy. You don't try to invade the whole country at once, you secure one beach. You prove you can win, and then you expand from there. And when you look at the companies that are actually getting value from AI, the 6% who are high performers, they're all doing three things differently. One, they're not trying to make things 10% more efficient. They're trying to transform how work gets done entirely. They're completely redesigning workflows from scratch. Number two, their leadership is not just supportive, it's committed. The CEO is using AI, the executives are role modeling it. It's not an IT project, it is a business priority. And then number three, they are investing real money. More than 20% of their digital budget goes to AI. This is more than betting, they're committed. But here's what I find even more interesting. The companies crossing the chasm aren't the ones with the best technology. They're the ones who understand that this is no longer a technology problem. It's a people problem. It's a culture problem. And it's a belief problem at the end of the day. You can have the best AI in the world, but if your culture says, we've always done it this way, or using AI is cheating, or we need to wait until it's perfect, well, you're not going to cross the chasm. You are building a wall. So where does this all go? The experts that I researched and that I listened to, they all say the same thing. By 2026, maybe 2027, most AI use cases will cross the chasm. Not because the technology is going to be perfect, by no means, but because it'll be good enough. Because the whole product will exist, because the success stories will outnumber the failures. And we're going to move from AI that helps you steer to AI that drives for you. From hundreds of disconnected tools to integrated systems that work together. From experiments to infrastructure. And if you look at the data, most likely healthcare is going to cross, education will cross, small businesses will cross. I made a whole video about this. Even Europe and Japan will catch up, I'm sure. But here's the thing about chasms. They do not stay open forever. At some point, the bridge gets built and the mainstream crosses. And if you're still on the wrong side, you're going to be stranded. Naval Ravikant has this idea that the most important skill in the modern world is specific knowledge. Knowledge that cannot be taught in a classroom, that cannot be easily replicated, and that is unique to you. And right now, knowing how to use AI effectively, how to prompt it, how to integrate it into your workflow, how to use it to amplify your unique skills, that is specific knowledge. That is leverage. But in 2 years, it's just going to be knowledge. It'll be table stakes. It'll be like knowing how to use email or Google. So you have a window right now where learning this stuff gets you an edge, where being on the right side of the chasm actually matters. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Look, the future of AI feels weird because we're in the in-between. The early adopters have crossed and the mainstream is just getting started. And the gap between them is creating this strange, contradictory, uncomfortable momentum. But here's what I've learned from studying every technology transition in history. The chasm always gets closed. The question is never if, it's when, and it's who. Will you be leading the way, or will you be watching from the edge, wondering why everyone else is moving forward while you are still standing still? The future is weird, but it's also inevitable. And the people who embrace the weirdness, who lean into the uncertainty, and who build while others wait, well, those are the people who define what comes next. So yeah, the future of AI feels weird, but maybe weird is exactly where we want to be. So where are you in the chasm? All right, you guys, that was it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like it if you did. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so, and also share it with anyone in your circle of friends or family who are telling you that AI feels weird and maybe they need this to get a clearer sense of where we are and why that is. Thank you again for watching. Until next time, if you're interested in learning practically how to apply AI, then make sure you join us in our free school community. The QR code is going to be here. We have lots of challenges that you can go through. They're all still live. You can still go through them. You can see what everybody else did and what they worked on in the past on the exact same challenges. You can join us on community calls every 2 weeks. There is a lot of value in there. And just being surrounded by people who are doing exactly the same as you is adding so much value. It's hard to explain that in words. So I hope to see you on the other side in one of our Hive halls. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you giving us the time. I know how valuable everyone's time is, and I'm very grateful that you chose to give it to us. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time. Bye.